Hello and welcome back to An Unpolished Earthling. Today we'll be talking about the Seven Petals of Gaia United. Now, Gaia United is a manifesto that I wrote a little over a decade ago, and it's fairly technical. It's similar to the last two videos that I did put together. And today, though, rather than jump into the full manifesto, we're going to be going over a different approach to discussing the topic of how to save all of our species and biosphere and change the way the world works. So, in this one, I'm taking a little bit more of a poetic approach, and the idea is sort of like how a lotus flower is used to represent enlightenment in Buddhist traditions. I'm taking a series of questions, which each one is called a petal, and then together they would form the lotus. And the idea is if you were to say yes to each of these questions, then you'd be on the same page with the kind of future you would want to see. And then the reason there are 7 of them, loosely based on the chakra system, each question relates to an aspect of our life. So, for example, the first one is about survival. Others could be about communication, perception, or love, etc. So let's jump right in here. The Earth is approaching a new epoch, a Gaian era, a time when all humanity is united in mutual respect for our life-giving planet. The Gaian Contract outlines the motivations and implications of the new paradigm and what it would mean to you if you embraced this new paradigm yourself. The Gaian Contract is presented in a series of questions that, if your answer is yes to, commits you to the contract itself, which is found at the end of the book. The contract being the idea of a social contract. If people were to agree to a system, what would that look like? So that's all that I'm referring to here. Now, the 7 questions are each related to one of the 7 chakras found in yogic traditions. They aim to engage the reader's survival instincts, passion, confidence, heart, voice, and imagination. The 7 petals form to combine the lotus, a symbol of enlightenment in Buddhist traditions, and a character of the most well-known mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. It means hail to the jewel in the lotus, and is an analogy to the nature of the soul. Sorry if I'm pronouncing any of those things a bit wrong. The lotus grows in the depths of murky ponds, striving for the light at the surface. Looking at the lotus plants in a pond, there is always some closer to blooming at the surface than others. However, one can never predict how fast an individual plant may grow or when it will bloom, but what is assured is that each of them does have the potential to bloom. This is symbolic of every human's potential to achieve enlightenment, to find peace in his or herself and with the world. The Gaian Contract is written in the spirit. It is an agreement to live in peace and harmony with each other and our planet, and it is a voluntary agreement to limit our impact on this world within reasonable bounds. It is not a contract that is enforced or that will force humanity to behave. It is rather a declaration that we have finally achieved a point in our cultural evolution where we as individuals have learned intelligent and compassionate self-regulation, a point of conscious integration with our living planet, Gaia. Now, first question, survival. Do you want to live? It is almost certain that your answer is yes. Our very instincts demand that the answer be yes, even against the most unlikely or undesirable circumstances. If your answer is yes, then you must have nutritious food, clean water, clean air, and shelter from the elements and dangers of the wilds. To ensure that we have these things, we need to have a healthy biosphere. To ensure that we have a healthy biosphere, we need to live within the carrying capacity of our planet, also known as biocapacity. Biocapacity can be measured in units called arable hectares, essentially how much life can grow in an area of fertile land under favorable conditions. This measurement can be expressed in calories or kilojoules, and as such can be used to discuss the effects of industrial industry as well as agricultural impacts. It seems convenient, then, to use the idea of biocapacity to manage our global resource usage. If we were to leave some of the Earth to wilderness and divide up the rest of the planet's renewable resources equally amongst everyone, we would have a fair system that ensures our survival and the preservation of the wilderness whilst allowing each individual the freedom to express their own way of life. Though saying yes to survival commits you to live within the Earth's biocapacity, it does not commit you to fairness. However, it's clear enough that by saying yes to a biocapacity budget, we cannot maintain the current resource management system. The World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and World Trade Organization, for they take no such considerations into mind, and to date have allowed great harm to come to our planet. The second petal is belief. Do you believe in yourself? The power of belief lies not in the truth behind the belief, but in the power to motivate those with faith in it. It is in this way that so many beliefs become real. For example, when some people consider the sheer amount of change that must take place as we transition from one paradigm to another, they are overwhelmed and can scarcely imagine the process. These people are easily discouraged and are the first to claim that it cannot be done, because they cannot imagine how it could be done. This allows, I got a typo in here. This lets them justify clinging to things that they know, even if they're obsolete. Know this: if in any task one believes it impossible, then one will not seriously try. If you never try, you will never succeed. Those who believe they can do anything, though they may fail at many things, will succeed in all of the things that they can. We are capable of being stewards of this world. We may be appalled at the sheer amount of pollution and destruction that we have produced, but though we have seen our power to make mistakes, we have also learned how to fix them. Unfortunately, we are not applying the efforts we need to fix our mistakes. Not because we cannot, but because our profit-driven resource management system is not designed to steward an ecosystem with limited resources. When everyone stops believing that we cannot change, and adopts a system that has an obvious capacity to guide our change successfully, then we simultaneously turn off the destructive system as we turn on the constructive one. If we all believe we can do it, then there's no one to stop us, and we will succeed. Since our only chance of survival lies in believing that we can do it, it should be an easy choice to believe. Third petal, confidence. Do you believe in us? So, they say no one has it all together, but together we have it all. Whoops. I guess that one is a decent point. May have to cut that and restart. So, they say that no one has it all together, but together we have it all. When we consider the practical aspects of transforming our world into a sustainable and desirable one, we may be overwhelmed because there are so many aspects of our material culture that must change. There are so many different technologies needed that most people have never even heard of. To begin with, we must have faith in our collective potential. It is not expected that everyone be a dentist, surgeon, or architect all at once, but we trust in our society to fulfill all of those functions that we need to prosper. We need to, and can continue to hold on to this trust, not in the corporations and governments as they are, but in the people who fill the many roles that we have asked of them. The most comprehensive system yet that shows the possibilities within our technological reach is socio-cyberneering, founded by Jacques Fresco. We urge you and all of our readers to look into socio-cyberneering as an introduction to the possible worlds we can create. Regardless of which particular technologies we use, it seems useful to have an easy and convenient way for people to browse through all of the technologies and methods that we have available. So, by making all scientific data and technological advances be considered a part of our common human heritage, it would allow everyone to get an idea of what lifestyles are available, so that they can decide what they want for themselves, and how they might go about achieving it. The more informed we are about our real potential, the greater our faith will be, and the more vigorously we will strive for the future that we want to see. After investigating the latest in our technologies and methods, we hope you will have confidence in our ability to act. Fourth petal, love. Do you love this planet? It's one thing to be motivated by a primal urge to avoid death, but it's quite another to have a reason to live or to appreciate life. We ask you now to reflect on the beauty and joy of this earth, from the wonder of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly, to the beauty of sunsets, rainbows, and the ever-changing canvas of the sky. From the refreshment of cool water to a thirsty throat, to the comforting warmth of an early morning sun on a cold day. It should be easy to find myriad reasons to love and appreciate this planet, our home. It should make sense, then, to ensure the continued presence of the majesty of our great wilderness. We should leave a significant portion of our planet unused, so that some part of nature will always be free. In appreciation for all that has been given to us, I don't think that's too much to ask. Again, that's up to you to decide for yourself how you feel about that, though. Fifth petal, voice. Do you want to be heard? The desire to express oneself is innate. From our birth cry to our dying breath, people are constantly reaching out to one another. Throughout our lives, we navigate situations where other people affect us, and it is natural for us to want to have a say in how we are treated and how we are expected to behave. In our many cultures, we have expressed diverse strategies for dealing with collective decision-making. In many cases, the majority of people are simply not heard, or heard but ignored. They have no authority behind their voice. A major factor in this trend is the sheer difficulty of facilitating effective communication amongst large populations. Another is the common trend of people in positions of power being tempted to abuse that power for the sake of their own perceived best interests. Even in democracies other than direct democracy, although the founding concept is ruled by the masses, in practice the masses do their best to choose between a poor selection of oligarchs. It seems that though we have had dreams of equality and cooperative government for over 3,000 years, in practice, our bureaucracies and administrative systems have never been able to effectively connect the views and wishes of a large population into a coherent vision. Through necessity, we have made compromises at every turn and have always felt the sting of corruption in our systems. Rather than argue which of the old systems is best, we are pleased to announce a new epoch, an era of high-speed global communication. For the first time, we are able to facilitate a conversation between everyone in a way that avoids translation issues and makes the combination of all of our voices into something meaningful and useful. This is the core of Gaia United, a global communication system that lets everyone participate in shaping our future, with no individual or government in charge of the final decisions. If you truly want to be heard, this is the only system that guarantees you have an effective voice. And at this point, you may be wanting to see the earlier video where I break down what Gaia United really means, or in our next videos, we're going to dive into the manifesto and go through it in great detail. So you'll understand that point a little bit better now, or after that. So, sixth petal is perception. Can you imagine what it would be like for you? Before one agrees to a contract, one should understand the implications of the contract and agree with them. The Gaian Contract, though relatively simple, has vast-reaching implications. Before we consider the implications for the planet as a whole, let us consider what it would be like for you if you were able to participate in Gaia United. In a nutshell, you would have an energy budget as a right, an ecological footprint for you to allocate to the industries that you wish to exist. You would fill out a profile of preferences along with the energy budget to say how you would like to live, where, and with whom. Furthermore, you would define your priorities in a way that would allow compromises to be made fairly and as consciously as possible. Computer software would then compile everyone's input, making a best fit vision of what our world would be like, if everyone had an equal say and an equal right to renewable resources. This vision would be presented to everyone as a 3D virtual world like a combination of Google Earth and Second Life. Furthermore, once fully established, Gaia United would provide a very different tone of life. Since you would have the right to the resources needed to survival, one would no longer have to earn a living in the traditional sense. One should, and likely would, work and participate in society to make it function and to improve one's standards of livings, but in terms of survival necessities, one could allocate their energy to someone else's enterprise in exchange for basic living needs. Since survival will only require about a third of one's personal energy budget, there are a lot of options to play with. All in all, it means that the stress of survival based on monthly salaries and bills is no longer a constant part of daily living. It also means that when you do work, it will be because you choose to and you agree to the terms and conditions of the work. In other words, it would be a truly free market. Not only would you be free to shape your economic life, you are also free to shape every nuance of your lifestyle, and you are always free to change your mind. The only catch is, you have to live in such a way so as to not prevent others from being able to live that way too. The joy of Gaia United is that it makes figuring out the how easy. All you have to do is have the dream. Can you imagine what it would be like to live in such a world? Seventh petal, destiny. And can you imagine what it would be like for the planet? On an individual scale, Gaia United provides a wonderful quality of life and nurtures people's passions. On a global scale, it will be the most dramatic positive impact since the invention of the printing press, or perhaps the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It would cultivate a healthy world, with humanity living well within the bounds of our natural resources. It would also be a peaceful world, as, with everyone having their needs met, there would be little incentive to fight for control of others' resources. Not saying that wouldn't ever happen, I'm just saying the incentive and the pressure towards needing to take other people's resources wouldn't be there. Diversity is another defining feature of Gaia United, as the communication system would allow people to use any language to participate on equal terms. It allows for myriad lifestyles and cultures to coexist, cooperate, and develop. More than anything, Gaia United provides a tool for envisioning our future and choosing the means to achieve it. All in all, it would be a wonderful, sustainable, peaceful, progressive, fair, and free world, would it not? And then the Gaian Contract, which is pretty darn simple here. Gaia United is based on voluntary agreement to live within a few guiding principles. Once everyone agrees to these principles, the Gaian evolution can begin. If you agree, please sign up online to gain access to our resources so that we can track our numbers. I have not got a proper website up and running for that just yet, but it is on the way, and if you would like to support me, I can get that done sooner. As for the contract, whichever your name would be, where are we? Yeah, it's just this very, very short little piece here. I agree to live within the bounds of the biosphere, leave a reasonable portion of the planet to wilderness, share all renewable resources equally amongst all humanity, treat all objective human knowledge as a common resource, and respect universal freedom of culture, language, religion, thought, and social and economic organization. And at the end, may it evolve to be accepted and effective. So as we'll see when we get into the manifesto proper, which, that's, well, all of this. So once we get through all of this, you'll understand better how the system works and how it makes sense. But the concept is, if it was working, it would be an online website where literally everything on it, you could say, I don't like this, I would want to change it like this. Now, what you want to change doesn't change immediately, but if enough people who looked at that page all agreed to change it, then it would change. Kind of like how Wiki goes, but perhaps a little more refined, hopefully more refined. And this means that all of this concept can be changed and tweaked and evolve. And so if the majority of humanity does not like how it's written by me today, hopefully they will like it in a few years when they've all had a chance to participate in writing it, and it'll become something that is the best we can do. Alright, thanks. I hope you look forward to our next episode.